Okay, at the end of the session, I'm here with my buddy Mochi. Isn't she a handsome girl? Well, you shouldn't say handsome, I guess. Beautiful. And she is, yes, she says, I want more bully sticks. So again, go order for edibles. We'll talk about it right now. Bully sticks, make sure they're odor-free. They don't have to be odor-free, but they're more expensive, but they will not smell so much. Cow kneecaps are one of my dog's favorites. Tracheas, cow cheeks, cow ears, chicken feet, duck's heads. There's all sorts of stuff that tendons that we think are nasty that dogs love to chew on. So again, we want to get a bunch of those things, especially tendons and bully sticks, things that we can actually drill a hole through and put in that zip tie to a weight in the long-term confinement area. So she practices going in there and hanging out in there and having good positive things happen. Okay, so we went over marker words. Her marker word is yes. I gave you a clicker so that you can use the clicker or the yes. They are the same thing, different sounds, but they mean the same thing. I have a video on clicker training, or how to introduce a clicker and all that. So if you have any questions on that or have questions, let me know on any of the stuff. I have videos I can send to you. We also went over not using a cue word or a command word until the dog knows what it is. So we just use the cue word, the marker word, over and over, and the marker word comes again when the dog does it or at the end of the activity. So right here, well, she's not going to cooperate, so we'll go ahead and ignore that. But she has got salsa puppy energy. Now, you saw I reached out and started to pet her, and I stopped. Because if I pet her while she's jumping up on me, I'm saying I like that behavior. And it's cute, and I do kind of like it, but probably our guests are not going to really like this particular behavior. And this is why when I have large breed dogs, I usually don't let them on the couch until they're about 1.5 years or 2 years old, because that's what they want to do, and then they do this kind of interactions, which we sometimes aren't really big fans of. Let me see, we also went over using a positive interrupter. So a positive interrupter is the kissing sound like that. Some people will also say, beep, 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 beep. See how she looked? Or, puppy, puppy, puppy. There we go. A lot of breeders, when they feed their dog, they will say puppy, puppy, puppy like that in a high-pitched voice, and then they bring up the food. So those dogs, usually the rest of their life, they say puppy, puppy, puppy 3 times or 4 times, they come a running. Now, one of the concepts that I talked to the guardians about was how to condition or train a dog to do things. We are training our dog all the time, but we only mean to about 10% of the time, probably even less than that. And so basically, we need to be mindful about what we're doing. She jumps up, probably because when she was this big, she jumped up on her guardian's shins and they reached down to pet her because they're like, oh, she's so cute, she wants some attention. Then she gets to be this big, and when she jumps up, she's now scratching our chest. We don't like that so much, but the dog's perspective, I've been doing the same exact thing the entire time. So that's why we went over petting with a purpose. Petting with a purpose is essentially teaching the dog manners. So we do it the same concept that parents do. So if I say something, inappropriate to my mom, like, Mom, I want some cake right now. My mom might say, would you like to ask for that again? When I was a little kid, and I'd say, Mommy, can I please have some cake? And it's just a small ask like that. A lot of times mothers will give their child that thing because they give the child a do-over, and if the child does it the right way, we want to reward and motivate them. So hopefully in the future they say, Mommy, can I have some cake? Instead of demanding it. So for puppies, when they come up and jump up on us, they nudge us, they paw at us, they're saying, pet me, give me your attention. So what we're going to do instead is tell them to sit. If they're already sitting here, tell them to sit here or here somewhere else, or tell them to lay down. Don't tell them to shake. And you say it one time. They have 2 seconds to do it. There are no spiders down there, buddy, I promise you. That's looking for spiders or snakes and softening things up. And so I can redirect her with that positive reinforcement. So the positive reinforcement doesn't make it the bad thing. And look, we got positive behavior there. And I rewarded that. Probably should have said the word yes. Okay, so for petting with a purpose, what we're saying to the dog is if you want some attention from me, you should sit or lay down to get it. So if I told the dog to sit one time and she sits, I say the marker word and pet her under her chin. Remember, the best place to pet is here, 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 or here, and slow circles on the chest can be calming and relaxing for a lot of dogs. So I tell her to sit one time. If she sits, I say the marker word yes to let her know that's what I wanted, and then I pet her and give her my attention. If she does not sit the one time, she has 2 seconds to sit. I lean back, I watch some TV, I talk to our genius from Apple that lives here, I compose a song, I check my emails, I do something else. The dog is now losing out on my attention, but it's not being punished. So it doesn't have to be punished to learn. That will motivate the dog next time to want to listen to sit down, provided the dog knows how to sit. I should make sure I say that. So if your dog doesn't know how to sit, it's inappropriate to say. But provided the dog knows how to sit, look at she's tuckered out. So then basically the dog will start sitting in front of people to prepay for the attention. When they do that, you better pet your dog because you took a lot of time and effort to do that, and make sure you don't take that for granted. Now, paycheck, or excuse me, not paycheck, manners is what we're teaching, and that's the watchword I typically like to use. So if somebody comes in and sees I'm petting Mochi and Mochi's standing up and they say manners to me, even if I did it right, stop petting, say, Mochi, sit. She sits, I say, yes, pet her on the chin, and I turn to my partner and say, I actually asked her to sit, but when you flushed the toilet, she stood up and I continued petting, but thank you for reminding me. Sometimes I do forget to pet without a purpose. So it's a gentle, polite reminder. It's not a gotcha, you did it wrong. So this is if you would like to pet your dog, or if your dog would like you to pet it, you tell her to sit unless she prepays for it. Now, prepaying kind of gets us towards another side of the coin, which is something that a lot of trainers call capturing. I refer to it as celebrating. Dogs, all attention is validating dogs, and all behavior is trying to elicit a response. There's a goal for it. So let's train and condition our dog to do the things that we want to get our attention. Since good attention and bad attention are the same thing, most of us train our dogs to offer unwanted behaviors. Because if they chew our carpet, we say no. If they have an accident, we say no. They bark, they jump up, they steal counter, whatever it is, all the negative stuff immediately and consistently, instantly gets our attention, which is validating. But when the dog comes and sits at us, in front of us, we didn't ask for it, we take that for granted, we ignore it. They lay down, they come to us, they give us eye contact, all this stuff. If we didn't ask for it, we ignore it. But when we have kids, the first time they use the bathroom by themselves, we make a big deal out of it because we want them to continue emulating that behavior. The same thing happens for dogs. Actually, it's even more impactful for dogs. So I call this celebrating. That's the watchword I use. So if Mochi's right here, she comes and sits down next to me, and I'm watching TV, not paying attention. One of the guardians says celebrate. I just say yes, and I pet her under her chin. I don't need to know what it is. My partner or my roommate or my friend saw something that I missed. They're backing me up. So they tell me to sit, or they tell me that she did something. Remember, you have to only 2 seconds from the dog doing it to say sit, to say the marker word. So they say celebrate. I say yes, and I pet the dog. And my goal is eventually to become mindful. So if I see that Mochi's over there, she's going to come to me. When she starts walking here on her own, I would say, come. You want to say the cue before the action, or in this case, in the middle of the action. And then when she gets here, I say yes and pet her. So I taught one of my dogs to stretch this way. Every time he'd stretch, I say yes and pet him. And now I can say stretch, and he sticks his butt in the air and waggles his tail. I'll do it 10 times in a row. Taught another one of my dogs to grumble this way. I say quest grumble. He goes rub, 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 which is funny as hell. So anything that your dog does on a regular basis, say that marker word, provide them with a reinforcement, either a pet or a treat, and they'll be more likely to continue doing that. What you do now is what your dog's going to do for the next, in her case, probably 13 to 15 years. So we can either have a dog that's doing the things we want or things we don't want. Okay, let me see. I'd also like the guardians to practice a little bit of self-control exercises. So for example, going through the door. Mochi likes to run through the door. She ran out the door the other day. So when we go to the door, we go to the door first, and we put the doors here, the human, and the dog's on the other side. And then I usually have 2 treats, and I have a treat in my hand so the dog can smell the treat, tell the dog to sit while it's smelling the treat, then I open the door. The dog's not going through the door, it's more interesting in the treat. Then as the door opens, I can either say yes and give the dog a treat, or say yes and drop the treat on the floor. Then I step through the door first, the dog gets a treat, and then the dog follows behind me. After a lot of repetition, we will let the dog in and out of the house 25 times a day. Do this for 2 months, the dog's just be conditioned. I wait for the humans to go out, and I go through the door first. I went through a riff on a version of this at the front door on how you can teach your dog to stay at a door with the door open while you walk outside. I want you to remember, always teach the dog how you want it to behave in an easy situation first. Break down the activity into small individual steps or slices, and practice the steps in the easiest capacity or the most challenging capacity that your dog can do, which is usually pretty easy at first. Then gradually we make it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more realistic until we work our way up to real life where the family's child has 3 friends over there wrestling and doing WrestleMania, and jumps off the shelf and everything, and the dog's like, I just sit here and watch because that's what I've been conditioned to do. Let me see. We also went over, exercise. I guess I didn't go over exercise. So let's go through that right for you right now. So sniffing on walks burns more energy than walking. So make sure you let your dog sniff as long as it's safe to do so. There was a dead bee outside. The guardian was trying to cover it up and not let the dog have it. Now, is that the most ideal thing for a dog to get? No. But if we don't ever let our dogs get things, sometimes they're going to encounter the rest of their life, sometimes that can create a forbidden fruit situation. So we want our dogs to learn things, but in a controlled or curated experience, as I like to say. So be careful about micromanaging your dog too much. Sometimes the dog needs to learn certain things. But there's also stuff like teaching the dog a leave it cue. So you have to put the trash, if your dog gets in the trash, I put the trash in the middle of the living room floor when I'm able to practice. I taught the dog to leave it first. Every time it looks at it, I say leave it, it leaves it, and I get a treat. And it's empty, it's just a trash can. There's nothing in it. Then eventually I put the trash can in, I might put something that's a little bit stinky in there, but just way at the bottom so the dog can't get it, and they leave it and comes over. And then gradually I get to the point where there's like a filet mignon in there, and the dog's like, I'm leaving that alone because I know I'm going to get a treat for doing that. But we gradually got the dog there. All right, so for exercise, sniff walks are great. Instead of walking around a circle or a circuit, walk for time. So if I have 20 minutes, I'm going to walk out the door, I'm going to take a left. And I'm going to walk for 10 minutes on the left direction. When my buzzer goes off for 10 minutes, I cross the street, so I have fresh sniffs on the way back, and we walk back. I might only make it 4 houses. I don't care, because I'm not trying to complete a circuit. When we walk a circuit, we're often hurrying our dog along and stopping them from sniffing. Interrupting a dog from sniffing is like if you're reading something really interesting and somebody comes up to you and starts talking to you while you're in the middle of a reading. It's very frustrating. It's not polite. I wouldn't say it's impolite for us to do it for dogs, but if we have that mindset, then we're walking with a better purpose for the dog. It's more enjoyable, and dogs will burn far more energy if you let them sniff on a walk than just from walking. You can also play Tug of War. That's a great way to burn energy. And anytime the dog's teeth touch you, you just drop the object and the game is done. This will help the dog learn to be more precise with their mouth. We can also play fetch if the dog likes to play fetch, but anything that we're going to do where we're going to orchestrate the exercise, dogs should only be exercised for 5 minutes per month that they are aged. She's 5 months old, so a maximum of 25 minutes. Also, play dates are a wonderful way to burn energy, provided both dogs enjoy it. In order for socialization to work, it has to be enjoyable. It's really important puppies play with puppies of a similar age and energy level. So post those pictures on social media of Mochi, ask your friends, hey, this is her energy, this is where we live, we have a yard, this is her play style, she's very confident, she's a German Shorthair Pointer. And then next paragraph, please share this on your pages because I'm trying to find people, we live in this part of town. And then basically other people will share it, and you might find 5 or 6 people. Or if you're out at the dog park and you run into another puppy and they play well, try to exchange numbers if the person doesn't seem creepy to you. The more of those play dates we set up, and it needs to be a variety of dogs, but also has to be a positive experience, the better they are prepared for the rest of their life. A lot of people see puppies and they think this is my puppy's energy forever. No, the personality is going to change. They're going through different developmental cycles. If we take advantage of the open periods where they're very open to things, we get them around a lot of dogs and they have great experiences, that will carry over. If we don't, a lot of dogs act aggressive towards other dogs to get them to go away because they're insecure because they never played with a lot of dogs. Also, when they're playing, make sure that you're giving them treat outs. Anytime the energy level gets over 50%, play that game that I told you about. If she's running around, rate her energy. Everybody in the family throws out their rating from 1 to 10. And we keep on doing that until we all sync up and we say 4, and everyone's like, yeah, 4, 4. Now we're on the same page. Now, anytime the dog goes above 50% energy, whether it's playing with another puppy, running around the house, whatever it is, they get a treat out. Call them over, do some touch, do a down, do a hunt, do a circle. That's another thing that if your dog jumps up a lot, you want to give them a replacement behavior. So one of the things I do is I take a treat and I touch the dog's nose and I lure him into a circle and then say yes and give him the treat. So if you consistently do that a lot, not at the door, but you do it a lot, and eventually you say circle, I say hurricane is the word, I say hurricane, my dog does a spin, and then I give it a treat. Well then for my dogs that were jumping, when I started coming in, I had treats with me. As soon as I came in, I say hurricane, they spin, give them a treat. Take my jacket off, spin, a hurricane, do another spin, give them a treat. I give my dog a replacement behavior. Now my dog is doing that. Another one, my dog I taught to sit pretty. I go at attention, she goes. She's not jumping up. She's practicing a controlled activity that is more desirable. Dogs that nip and bite, a lot of times we'll have them grab an object like this in their mouth. So that way they're holding on to something as opposed to jumping around. Okay, so that's physical exercise. I'm kind of jumping around, but there's also mental stimulation. Lick mats is a great way to burn some energy. You're going to get a video on something called Cookie in the Corner, which is basically teaching your dog to hunt for things. Scent games is a wonderful, Google scent games. It'll talk about bringing a cadaver in your house. You don't have to bring a cadaver. You can do it without a cadaver. But hiding around the house, the dog has to find you or have to find a bait lure, something like that. They're using their nose. That drains a tremendous amount of energy. Also training is also mental stimulation. So set a goal for, you know what, and we signed you up for, this guardian has got signed up for the emails we send to our puppy class parents. You're getting an email every single day, and every week there's going to be about 3 or 4 lessons that we're going to send you training videos to. So try to make a commitment to, there's 3 people in the house, so each one of the adults is maybe going to do it twice a day, and then each one of the adults is going to take turns coaching the child up through it twice a day each. So maybe each adult does it twice, that's 4, and then the child does it twice, that's 6 practices in short 2 or 3 minute practice sessions sprinkled throughout the day. That's a great way to drain energy. Dogs also have energy bursts at sunrise and sunset, so try to exercise your dog before that. Before guests come over, get your dog some exercise first. Just make sure that it has 10 minutes to recover before the guest arrives. But getting that exercise out proactively can really help. She probably would be a good dog for fetch. Be careful, again, 5 minutes for every month she's aged. But if you teach her to fetch, it's a wonderful way to burn energy quickly. I also do dog skiing. You saw the video where I put my dog, and there's a special type of harness if you want to do that. She should wait until she's about 1.25 years, 1.5 years before you do that. But if you have an area, if you guys are moving to the OC, there's those beaches, and be able to have your dog pull you along the beach. It's like being in a parade. Everybody's waving at you, pulling out their cameras and filming you. It's a fun thing to do, and the dogs love doing it. And it's a quick and easy way to burn energy. I can have Quest take me from Santa Monica to Venice to Chautauqua back to Santa Monica in like 20 minutes. That's really long, and he is wiped out. In Omaha, I have him take me for about 3 miles. And then he's not wiped out, but he's set up for success. So before friends come over, exercise your dog. Before dinner, exercise your dog. Use those things and give your dog those bully sticks, the kneecaps and things like that. Those chewing items, remember chewing, licking, release those endorphins and make the dog feel good. Go to my website. The 2 posts below this on our website are gonna have video on loose leash walking. Watch those videos. And one other thing that I try to do is I call it the kiss game. So I use that positive interrupter, so we'll see if I wake her up. Well, I saw her eyes open, but she didn't really move. She's tuckered out. So what I do is every time the dog gets to the end of the leash, I make that kissing sound, and they turn around, and then turn around, I'm holding a treat, and they practice coming back to me. If you do it a lot when they're younger, they get to the end of the leash, they'll turn around and come right back to you. But the leash pressure game you'll see in those other videos would also be an effective technique. So practice that sort of stuff, work on it. Don't worry about teaching her to stay or walk in a heel. Those are 2 of the most difficult things. She's way too young for that. I'd rather have you teach her some other tricks and commands like touch, sitting pretty, bang you're dead, roll over, some things. The more tricks that you have when you come in the house, you can ask her to demonstrate and do all these different things instead of jumping up. And she's practicing offering you different positive behaviors as opposed to negative ones. Make sure you use those watchwords. So manners means I think you're petting without a purpose. Celebrate means you're missing an opportunity to pet her. And I would also say jeopardy or vocabulary. Come, come, come. Mochi, come, come. I'm just making the dog practice not listening to me. The more you say it, the less you mean it. Say it once. If it doesn't happen. Second time, you might want to say it in an excited voice. Mochi, come. Yeah, I'm sorry I woke you up, sweetheart. And then one other thing is if you want to get the dog to come to you, well, first of all, if she runs away, if you chase her, dogs look at whatever direction her face and her feet are pointing. So if you're the dog and I'm running towards you, she thinks this is a game, I should run away from you. So if she gets out, scream, Mochi! When she looks at you, turn around and run away from her. She will come and chase you. Don't chase your dog. And then if you do want a dog to come, the lower your hand goes, the more it's for the dog. My hand is empty here. Let's see if I can motivate her to get off the couch on the floor without doing anything. Mochi. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. Yes, I fooled you. All right, come back up here. Come back up here. Come on up here. It's so hard. You got those long legs. You should be able to do that like a super dog. Well, this is my buddy Mochi. Yes. And she says she loves you all. This is Mochi, and this is Mochi's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog or puppy. Only sometimes you mean it.